Hey, everybody. Jim Cummings here. Welcome to my podcast, Toon'd In with Jim Cummings. We have a great guest for you today. But before we get to that, make sure you like and subscribe. Our podcast has partnered with the largest Comic-Con in North America, Fan Expo, the Juggernaut. We're touring all over North America live, so get your tickets and come be a part of the live audience. It'll be fun. Go to fanexpohq.com for the tickets. We'll see you in a city near you, or a little bit away, but you can drive. And with all that said and done, sit back and enjoy today's episode. And as always, thanks for tuning in to Toon'd In with Jim Cummings.
I'm going to change it up though, because I want to push it back to you a little bit. I was thinking about today the differences between recording with screen actors and then recording with voice actors. And I wanted to see what you thought about, because I worked with Joaquin Phoenix, who was he turned out he worked out to be a wonderful voice actor for Brother Bear.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's an amazing actor, period.
He's a great actor, yeah. But it was interesting because he's so used to being contained. Acting, when you think about what some of the stuff he does, and he gets a little bit nervous in front of the camera, or in front of the mic, which was interesting.
Wow,
but, it was so different for me and I was a new director too, so everything was new.
Yeah,
but pulling the performance out of say Joaquin. Who, like I said, was wonderful, but it was different pulling that performance.
I like the phrase "pulling the performance out of that." That says a little right there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You don't feed the lines, right? So it's pulling that performance out, as opposed to someone like you that this is what you do, and
that's all I do. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was the experiences are completely different, and the choices we get are so completely different. The things
I would imagine.
And I was just wondering if there's, not to take it off of me, but I'm just curious.
Please.
If you had a theory on those differences and how you approach it.
Well, one thing I can remember, they will remain nameless. I've worked with any number of face people. And my old joke is that, anybody can be an actor if you get to use your face. But, different people that I work with, it would slow down the whole thing if I just did an impression of them. But a lot of times you'll be on mic with someone who is usually on camera, and they'll sit there and they'll go,
and they're acting, right?
And they're just, wow, I'm really acting over here. And look, see, I'm mad. And
that's true. True.
Oh yeah, and the voice directors are going, okay, honey, that's really good. I love that. Now, can I hear it? Oh, that's right. This is a microphone, not a camera.
Yeah,
it's a different critter.
Well, it's the other thing too, because a face actor, like you say. A lot of times with Disney, we're recording it, so to them it's feeling like a close-up too. And what do you do in a close-up? You keep it all kind of contained, and you're not being broad, and so it's hard to kind of get that, pull it out of them and free them up.
Yeah, yes, and so true.
Some of the things, and once I got Joaquin, I remember one sequence in particular. Once we got him, he loosened up, and we were recording this really emotionally heavy scene where in Brother Bear, Kenai's older brother Sitka, he goes down in this avalanche of ice and he's lost in the water, and Kenai has to go down, and he's screaming for his brother and trying to find him, and all this rubble. And so I pitched the whole sequence to Joaquin, and he kind of preps himself for it. And I had forgotten, because it was probably a year or two, maybe 3 years after he had lost his brother River Phoenix.
Yeah.
And I think he really channeled that, because he really went deep into that, and it was just so emotionally raw that I just sat there and I just I was just mesmerized, and
You're
eventually
mesmerized,
after
yeah.
a minute or two, he's like, "Are you ever going to yell cut?" I was like, "Oh my God, I'm sorry, cut." And
Oh, poor
and he
guy.
just had tears. I felt like I was watching a movie, you know.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it was interesting.
Well, you were.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you were. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Yeah. Well, that's one of the hardest things to do is cry on cue.
Yeah.
You have to
Yeah,
have
I
a
know.
reservoir of pain that you can call on.
I always
Yeah.
say, yeah, you know what I think is even harder than crying on cue is laughing on cue. Making
Look,
yourself
he did it.
genuine,
that was very
genuine
good,
laugh.
Aaron. That was look.
But
He's
like a
you're a good
genuine
actor.
like
actor.
belly
Real.
laugh, like a genuine belly laugh, I think is harder
Yeah.
to really crack yourself up. You know, when you're laughing so hard that you can't even stop yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's harder than crying personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's the laughing and crying. It's
Yeah.
The two
you know,
masks.
it's the hardest thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Comedy and tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah.
How about
Good times,
ad-libbing?
bad
How do
times.
and two guys that were really great with that. Well, three guys that I worked with on Brother Bear that were great at ad-libbing were Rick Moranis and Dave Thomas.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Well. Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Bob and Doug. You know, Bob and
Yeah.
Doug.
Yeah.
And that's
They're
their,
good, eh?
yeah, and their whole thing is improv. And so it was really interesting how much of what they ad-libbed went into the film instead of the script.
Uh-huh.
It was really cool. So I was wondering how much ad-libbing do you do?
But too much, probably. They,
Yeah.
you know, I've been told, would it kill you to say what we wrote? Would it just kill you? But you know, my old joke is I always punish them by doing it exactly as they wrote, and then I'll do it. The next take will be what they should have written.
Yeah.
And I'm not to toot my own horn, but it was always fun. Darkwing Duck would be a good one. I am the terror that flaps in the night. I am the winged scourge that pecks at your nightmares. I am Darkwing Duck. And the middle one would always change. And I've said this before, so I hope I'm not boring anybody out there. But
No.
I would always say, I am the terror that flaps in the night. And then about the seventh show in, the writer wrote, it doesn't matter what I write here. You know, Jim's going to say something else anyway. I am Darkwing Duck.
That's great.
And so it was, you know, it's got its place. It's got its place. Ad-libbing has its place, right?
It does. Yeah. And I mean, and you get great stuff because it starts becoming more natural than what's written, you know?
Yeah. Well, you know, I think the key is, and I discovered this many moons ago, is that if it's funny for the sake of funny, and all of a sudden the story kind of grinds to a halt,
Yeah.
and now we laugh at this over here. Now, can we get, well, now where were we now? We were robbing a bank. Can we get back to robbing the bank or something? You know, as long as it doesn't stop the story,
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, if it adds to, good. If it doesn't, keep going.
Well, the other one that I like is, and I never got to do this except with Rick Moranis and Dave Thomas, was bringing our actors in at the same time. You know, we always recorded them separately.
Yes.
But with those guys, we were able to bring them. They were a team, and so we bring them together, and that was gold because they would just feed off of one another, and it would just
no
go back
doubt.
and forth. And once they got the rhythm and the drive of what the scene was supposed to be about,
Mm-hmm.
they were just coming up with all kinds of stuff. And
Yeah.
I would read against them in the room. And I got kicked out because I kept blowing takes because I was laughing so hard. And it was amazing.
Yeah.
I was wondering, do you ever get that opportunity to read against people?
You know, I cherish it when it's not often. It's not often.
It's not.
And I really, really prefer it. And of course, years ago when COVID popped up, well, oh my gosh, then it really gave them an excuse to isolate you. And I've always said that acting, I couldn't assign a percentage to it, but acting is also reacting.
Yeah.
And if there's nothing happening around you, if you're sitting in a bubble, well, you're reacting to lots of nothing.
Well, to your point that you were saying earlier, to educate the public about, you know, when that voice actor comes in compared to the animation, the other thing is that people don't realize is the actors aren't coming together on the stage and acting back and forth like you see on the screen.
Right.
They don't realize that, you know, everything's recorded separately and you bring it together and now you've got characters talking to one another on screen that weren't recorded together. And it's incredibly difficult to get that to sound natural. you know?
Yeah. Oh, I agree, and I'm
Yeah.
a big fan. And oftentimes, to make up for that, they'll isolate you
Yeah.
so that because you can't overlap in
No,
natural conversation.
no.
We overlap.
But
We
if you at least
dovetail
have on the
over.
cans and if you guys are in separate booths and recording
Yeah,
off of one another, then it's really
that's
cool.
better.
There was one time we brought in Joaquin Phoenix and Jeremy Suarez, who played the voice of
Oh,
Coda. And
uh-huh.
Jeremy was a little pro. He's like 40 years old now, but he was a little pro
Yeah.
at the time. And man, the stuff we got out of them was great. There was one point that Joaquin messed up his line
Mhm.
and he called one of the other characters by the wrong name. And so
Oh,
Jeremy just rolled with it and he corrected him. And by the way, his name's Bucky, not or whatever. I can't remember what the line is.
right.
He was like, "Oh my God, that's great!" And we kept it. And that went into the movie. But we only would have gotten that by them being there together. Yeah,
Oh, that's wonderful.
yeah.
Well, I've been notorious ad libber too, and I'll hope I'm not repeating this story too much. But Don Hahn, when we saw the screening of The Lion King for the first time, I sang Hakuna Matata. And Jess Harnell for Nathan Lane and Ernie Sabella because they weren't singers, so well, let's just get Jim and Jess to sing it, and then we can give them a cassette they can ride around in their car for a month, and then they'll know it like the way they do Happy Birthday.
Right.
Well, I basically wrote the fart verse in Hakuna Matata,
I love it.
and when I was young, we were walking down the lane there after, and I said to Don Hahn, I said, "You kept in the fart verse?" Because I couldn't imagine, Disney alluding, to that. And he goes, "It's the funniest thing in the movie." And I go, "Oh, okay." And I said, "Well, I don't see my name in the credits with additional lyrics by."
That's funny.
So it wasn't that funny to me, but
Yeah.
I get to tell people like you that story, so it's not too
I just
bad.
emailed Don Hahn today, actually. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, tell him I said, hey, and
I will.
what are you doing? And hire me. And you too.
We just got
And Chris,
Rob
we'll all get a gig.
Well,
Did you,
That's wonderful.
when animation started to shift from 2D to 3D, what was your personal experience with that? Did you start animating in 3D? Did you always, because I know Snow Bear is in 2D, of course.
yeah, no, I've never learned 3D. It was crazy. That was a crazy time, and I see a lot of young people freaking out about AI right now, and and I try to settle them down and say, look, we went through the transition from 2D to 3D. This is very similar, and everything will settle. The dust will settle. The pendulum will swing. But it all happened obviously when Toy Story came out, 1995.
Yeah.
1995, and it was an amazing film. I remember before the film came out, we were watching dailies, and that Army Man sequence, we were just like, we've never seen anything like this, and it was entertaining, and it was visually unlike anything we'd ever seen.
That's right. Yeah.
We knew it was going to change the landscape. We just thought it was going to be an addition to, not replacing.
Mm.
And so,
okay.
yeah, and so I was never scared. I was actually really excited. Oh, this is going to be super cool, and we'll be making these films, and we'll all be alongside one another. And it wasn't until a few years after, once we got into 2002, 2003, about 7 years later, that I realized, oh, no, things are changing. This is crazy. And so after Brother Bear came out in 2003, and I didn't have the opportunity to make another 2D film. I had to make a 3D film. I didn't do 3D, but I could direct it.
Yeah.
And that's when I started to learn digital drawing and painting, so that I could get the art that I was trying. We were developing a film called The King of the Elves. It was something that never got made because my wife passed and the film got shut. But that kind of launched my trajectory into digital drawing and painting and filmmaking as well, because even though it's not 3D modeled, Snow Bear, I drew it digitally. I drew it on I'm talking to you guys on a big 32-inch Cintiq pen display screen that you draw on, and that's
wow.
There's no paper that was used for Snow Bear, but it was drawn
Really
by hand. Yeah.
wow.
but even that happened as a result of everything else because we went into this digital realm, right?
Right.
So,
Jeez.
I ended up going down paths that I never would have gone down. I remember Max Howard, who was the head of our studio in Florida, and it was like 1991 or 92, and we're working on Aladdin or something.
Mm.
He says, Aaron, in a few years, we're going to be drawing on a TV screen. And I went, you're crazy. What are you talking about? I just thought he was nuts.
Yeah.
At the time, I was thinking like a big cathode ray tube. It's like, how the hell are you going to draw that?
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking about
Wow.
flat screen. What is that? So it's amazing.
Yeah. Do you welcome the new technology, or is it something you have to wrestle with, or are you back? Because I remember.
I don't, there's aspects of, like, say, AI. There's obviously aspects of AI that can be scary. There's aspects that I don't agree with as far as copyright and some of the things that go with that. I don't like that. But I also know that it's here to stay.
Yeah.
To me, it's just become another tool in the toolbox. I don't.
Oh, okay.
It's like, for me, when I sit down to use Photoshop, let's say I'm going to do a drawing in Photoshop, I don't use all the other tools. I have a paintbrush, I have a canvas, and I draw. And that's kind of how I see that. I'm going to continue to make films the way I want to make films. One of the things I always say is, the finished product as an artist, that's not always the goal. You want to get you do want to get to the finish, but man, it is a joy getting there. It's a joy creating. It's a joy writing. It's a joy painting and drawing and animating. I love that process. So why the hell would I want to give it to a machine to do?
Yeah.
And so
it's such a beautiful art form.
Yeah, I agree. And there might be a point where AI can mimic everything that we do by hand. But I'm still going to do it by hand because I love making it by hand.
Yeah.
Well, I
sure
can
do.
go out and take a photograph of something, or I can sit and I can paint it. And that's the process that I love. And so when people ask me about that, or when I post something on social media or on the internet of some animation that I've done or something to promote ourselves, there's always some Yahoo that comes in and goes, hey, AI could do that in about 2 minutes. So yeah, you're right, it can. But you're not an artist. So obviously you're not an artist, because I love the process. I love the act of creation. And it's what makes us human. And I actually also, I know I'm rambling, but I'm seeing this pushback. I'm seeing this hunger from the audiences out there for human made.
Yes. That's good to hear.
That we've gotten on Snow Bear is, man, it's so nice not to see any AI crap. It's so nice to see some human stuff. So that made me
well, for a while there were kind of walking down that same road as far as the voiceover too.
It's affecting everything, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, they said, well, we can do your voice. We've got you on. We can make Pooh or Tigger. Somebody say whatever the heck we want.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, okay, but I don't know what kind of soul is that.
Yeah.
Where's the heart in there? Is there any heart in that?
There's no soul. There's no human experience, right?
Yeah.
So whether it's audio or visual, it needs human experience behind it for that authenticity.
Yeah.
It's funny. My father, who's going to be 87 this year, he still loves music. He still plays. He can't see anymore, but he plays. And he was on Ed Sullivan in 1964. As a matter of fact, I forgot to tell you that.
Wow. What as what? What was his?
He was in a band called Sandu Scott and the Scotties, and he was one of the Scotties playing on the Christmas show of 1964.
Oh my gosh! How cool is that?
He loves watching like America's Got Talent and things like that.
Oh, sure.
Musical guests, and he showed me something on TikTok. Somebody had showed him of this singer on America's Got Talent, and it was like you were saying, it was a completely fabricated character. It was an AI looking character and AI voice, and he had no idea.
Wow.
He had no idea. He goes, "Listen how good this guy is," and I was like, "Oh, Dad, sorry to tell you."
Yeah. Well, there was years ago, maybe like 10, 12 years ago, there was. Someone in Japan decided to come up with a AI construct, and it was all on screen. It was a Japanese pop star.
Yeah.
I cannot for the life of me think of the name, which is good.
Yeah.
And
well, that tells you right there. Yeah.
yeah, you're right about that. That's a good point, actually. But I guess she could sell out stadiums, and there would be, thousands of people there in the audience, and it would be just a big 10-foot screen on a stage.
I remember what you're talking about. I can't remember the name either, but I remember
Hatsune Miku.
Yeah,
Hatsune Miku.
Could be, sure.
Yeah. I know that's a really popular one right now. It's like literally just a CGI avatar, pretty much.
Yeah,
and it performs like concerts.
I mean, we're definitely living in the future, right? And
so
old
true.
Guys will, but there, I do firmly believe that there's going to be a place. Will always be relevant. There's always some relevancy in being able to bring that human experience.
Oh, it has to be. It has to be.
Yeah.
And it has to be discernible, and it has to be something that people are going to appreciate. Yeah. You're not, I mean, nobody's ever going to sit there in now or in the future and go, gosh, it's a shame we don't go back to just computers doing our thinking for us and our creating.
It's true.
Darn it. Now we have to have all this pesky talent. Doggone it.
Well, sort of related to this subject. I mean, I think it's also important to remember too that, at the end of the day, this is show business, and half of the decisions come from the business side of things, saving money and whatnot. I wanted to ask you, Aaron, I saw this short on YouTube the other day, and it was an example side by side of different movies using the same animations. For example, like Winnie the Pooh would be walking down, the road and then tumble. And then they showed a clip of, King Louie from the Jungle Book. And it was the exact same, motion.
Oh, yeah.
Exact same reused assets, but just obviously a different character, different background. How common was that while you were working at Disney? Because to me, that's a business decision. It's like, let's reuse some assets so we save time.
When they did that, that was before I came into business. So when they did that, that was like in the 60s going into the 70s. Mm-hmm. And you got to remember back then, after Walt died, animation was sinking to the point when by the time we got to 1984, when Eisner came in, Eisner was going to shut animation down. It was a sinking ship.
That's right.
It was losing money. It was a mess, And so they were looking for any way. And the other thing too, and I'm sure you guys have experienced this, there's always some young manager or something that comes in that I'm going to do it better this time, and so I'm sure there was a little bit of that when they're making, whether it's the Rescuers Down Under or making Robin Hood. Hey, we got all this other animation that we've done in the past. Let's just recycle it and we'll put new characters over the top of it. And it'll save us all kinds of money. And it didn't save them any time. It didn't save them any money because it all had to be redrawn anyway, and it caused more problems than it saved. Mm-hmm. But it's interesting because they were doing these weird things in order to save the sinking ship, and it wasn't until Eisner came in, and then Roy Disney said no, don't shut it down. We're gonna turn this around, and that's when they brought in Peter Snyder and Tom Schumacher and Don Hahn.
Yes.
But it really kind of turned it around. They got some new blood in. They started thinking about it from a Broadway point of view and started thinking about these musicals. And so by the time I came into the picture, the films, it was off of Oliver and Company and Little Mermaid. No, it was all original stuff. And they weren't thinking about going in and saving money by rehashing old animation. But we all definitely knew the stories. And and it was it really was interesting, and it is fun to see. You see Snow White and you see Maid Marian from Disney's Robin Hood, and they're dancing, and it's exactly the same animation. It looks like it's gone through an AI filter.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
well, that's the reason I brought that up. Is sorry, Jim.
No, I was just gonna say, if it worked the first time, let's do it again.
Well, then that's the thinking. Right?
Right.
Yeah, the reason I bring that up, though, is because that must be a tempting, business decision where, we can spend all this money on VFX artists, or we can, have Sora, put some.
And that's exactly what the threat is to the industry right now. And so, and the what's even worse of a threat is there's the threat of wanting to do that and pushing forward with that and stripping down your crew and thinking you're saving money, and then in the end you're not getting what you want, and blah blah blah. But then the other threat too is I think that maybe not the upper studios, but some of the mid-level studios what they get out of that money saving, what they get out of that AR I saw or whatever, and they go, yeah, that's good enough, and that's what they put out there, rather than.
I think we kind of saw that this year with the Super Bowl commercials.
Yep.
I was watching the Super Bowl this year. It was like every other commercial was AI. It was.
And so the threat to our entertainment industry is kind of drowning in a sea of mediocrity, I think is what it is.
That's a good way to put it.
Right. Yeah. So you end up with, and so then you've got a new generation coming up, and that's their standard now. And so all of a sudden the standards drop. And so I think you're going to see this little blip, a downward blip in standards for creativity and visual creativity and music, acting, all of it. It's a weird, it's definitely a weird time. Obviously AI can do, has the potential to save the world, do wonderful things.
Sure.
But it also has the potential to, there's a huge adjustment we got coming up. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's to condemn us to mediocrity.
Yeah,
it's. I think there a lot of times mediocrity is raised up into the realm of excellence, and it's just no, it isn't.
Yeah,
it's not. It's good enough isn't superb.
Yeah,
it's. But everybody just. Well, no, that's fine. That's good.
Yeah. It's like, I can't tell you how many students I have, young people that go, man, I really want to be an animator, but man, I don't want to do all those drawings.
Well, wait a minute. Well, then you don't want to be an animator.
Okay. Is there any way I can be an animator without doing all those drawings?
Yeah, well, I really want to be a singer, but I don't feel like doing all those songs. Wait, what? What?
Yeah, it's funny.
It's
this is my old guy coming out, and I when I talk to younger artists, I would preface it by this is my angry old man side, but it's this generation it's the American Idol generation. It's the instant, everything's instant. I need instant information. I got my iPhone, I've got instant stardom. I can't tell you how many times you watch American Idol, and there's some 18-year-old kid going, man, this is my last chance. I don't know if I can do
it. Well, you're not going to find anybody with a row of Collier encyclopedias anymore, are you? It's like, wait, what's an encyclopedia? Well, it's a book that you, and then they go, what's a book? Oh, never mind. Never mind.
Yeah, this is the Grumpy Old Men podcast.
Yes.
I know this is a cliche question, but I'd feel remiss if I didn't ask it. Do you have a favorite project or character that you worked on?
Oh yeah, I mean a lot, and it's always changing. Obviously, for me, Snow Bear is one of my favorite projects I've ever done. It's my own film. I've never done that before.
Yeah, well, it's
I've never
fabulous.
been able to sit down and just create every single visual that you see on the screen.
It's
and
unbelievable.
As a result of that, I became very, very emotionally attached to that character because that character is me. And so there's that. But then, throughout my career, every project holds a different place in my heart, whether it's the Beast. The Beast, I love the Beast. And that's what he did for my career. But I love that character. I know that part of that character is me. Part of it's Glenn. Part of it's, the other animators that worked on it. I love, I created Nala, young Nala in The Lion King. And that character is based on, at the time was my daughter. So
that's wonderful.
When I see Nala, I see my daughter up on the screen. And, yeah. So and my daughter's 37 now, and she still tells everybody she's Nala. So that's great.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, but it's hard to pin down an absolute favorite project or character.
Right.
Brother Bear was the first thing that I ever directed, and it was incredibly difficult. And
really?
There were days that I would just dread getting out of bed.
Now, what was the big roadblock for you? What was the?
Well, I didn't the way that I found out, I was finishing up on Mulan. I was an animator on Mulan. I created Yao and the ancestors and all that. And I was working very closely with Pam Coates. You know Pam Coates, right? You know Pam Coates, yeah.
I think, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought you knew her. I think she's spoken very highly of you, so I thought maybe you knew her. But so I was working with Pam Coates. I was working with Tom Schumacher, and Tom and Peter were talking about some of the things that they had in development. And they mentioned movie called Bears, and I thought, ooh, that sounds really cool. And so I wanted to get on it, and because I love animals, and so I wanted to animate on it, or I wanted to create some designs or something for them. And but they didn't have anybody working on it. It was just kind of sitting on the shelf. And so I just kept pushing and pushing. And it was Tom Schumacher that had come. Mm-hmm. He came to me. I came to him because I was a squeaky wheel and a greasy wheel. I was about to say greasy wheel. But, and he said, well, no one's working on it. Have you ever thought about directing? And I was completely blown away. And so wow. I decided, yeah, I'd like to take this challenge. And I thought, up to that point, I'd worked on 6 or 7 features. I knew how a movie was made. What I didn't know is I knew in my heart the stories I wanted to tell. I just didn't know how to construct them. I didn't know how to. I love to write, but I never had any proper training, and I certainly didn't know how to write a screenplay. And that's the meat of creating a story. And so I went into it not knowing what I didn't know.
Well, but that could be good.
The thing that I had in my favor, and for me, with my experience, was I had incredibly wonderful executive bosses, Pam Coates, Tom Schumacher. Mm-hmm. They allowed me to make my mistakes. They allowed me to fall down, and they didn't fire me. There were so many times I should have been fired.
Always a good sign.
Yeah. They let me make my mistakes and learn from them. And I grew. I was able to grow as a filmmaker and as a director, and I learned what I needed to learn. I always say that, I was on that project for 6 years, and I always say that was my 6-year filmmaking school, because by the time I finished making Brother Bear, then I was ready to make a film. so I'm forever in their debt for giving me the opportunities time after time after time when they had every right to pull the rug out from under me because I screwed up so many times. They saw something in there, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I dare say they themselves experienced that.
Of course. Yeah.
They knew that was part of the process anyway.
Yeah.
So, God forbid you follow in their footsteps.
Well, I remember one screening, the process of making these films for people out there that don't know. We storyboard the movie. We cut it all together in editorial. We put scratch voices in there. We put, scratch music and sound effects. Yeah. And you basically storyboard it to see what the movie's going to play like. And you watch it in the theater. And we do that several times over before we actually start making it so that we can refine it. One of the reasons why big budget animated films tend to be pretty good to great, because they go through the process, which live action doesn't get to do very often. And but I remember it was our 3rd or 4th screening, and we tried a whole bunch of new things. And I remember, and we were sitting with a cold audience with the studio out in California.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just, as it's playing, I'm just sinking lower and lower and lower.
Oh no.
Cringing the whole time.
Right.
So the lights come up at the end of the screening, and everyone files out, and Tom stands up and he makes sure the door's closed, and he goes, well, now we know what we don't want to do. And then he said, all right, let's roll up our sleeves and start remaking this film. And he had, like I said, he had every right to go, all right, we're getting another director.
Right. Well, it's like Edison, right? I think wasn't the light bulb finally when he finally found the right filament or what have you?
Right.
I think it was something like 100
different tries and or whatever.
Yeah. It only has to work once.
Exactly.
Well,
it's funny. Even though we finally got to the end of it, when Brother Bear finally came out, it didn't do well with the critics. It did okay in the box office. It did all right.
Yeah.
But the critics hated it, and it really broke my heart, because we worked on it so hard. And but it's interesting. The kids that saw that film then are grown up having kids of their own now, and all of a sudden it's getting this big resurgence. I think it's more popular now than it was back then.
And nostalgia. Well, we're all nostalgic for our childhood.
Yeah. And so it's getting introduced to another generation.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, that's wonderful.
It's funny how that works
very
across
gratifying.
So many different artistic mediums, like I think the first person that comes to mind is like F. Scott Fitzgerald, dying thinking that he's a failure, and he's one of the greatest writers of all time.
Exactly. Look at Van Gogh, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes genius to percolate through the masses.
I wouldn't say I'm genius, but hey,
Just take the compliment. All right.
We'll just
Take the compliment.
Yeah, go ahead. By all means. Well, it's like Van Gogh. I don't think he sold a painting in his lifetime.
No.
Not one.
No, it's a sad, sad story.
So we're all doing pretty good out here.
Yeah.
No complaints, right?
Yeah.
So what's on the horizon at this point?
Oh man, I've got about 7 different projects that I've got in various stages of development. Whether I've got some animated shorts, I've got some feature, I've got a prequel to Snow Bear.
Wow!
Feature length project. But I think I'm gonna do it as a graphic novel first. So I'm gonna sit down and do that over several months, and then and we'll see where it goes from there. One of the things I'm super excited about is kind of holding on to my animation and art background, but also going into my love of going out into the world and finding animals and chasing animals and drawing and all that. Back in November, I had the opportunity to go to Churchill, Manitoba, which is way up northern Canada, on Hudson Bay, where the polar bears come together. And so
I was going to say bear country for sure.
It is. And we saw polar bears. We went up and documented this trip, and documented the whole thing and spent some time in the town up there. And we saw hundreds of polar bears. And we're turning it into this little kind of in the vein of, I think, like Anthony Bourdain, but this travel documentary, but rather than like food and like Anthony Bourdain did, we're coming at it from a conservation artist standpoint and animation.
Oh, wow.
And we just finished up the first pilot on that, and we're kind of looking at what we might do with that. So that one I'm super excited about as well. So we got a lot of diversity out there that we're trying some new stuff,
right?
Along with our teaching and all that too.
Yeah. Well, I'm always fascinated. I remember when they were doing The Lion King, they sent artists over to Africa to and I remember after seeing Lion King, I ended up over in Africa for a month or so, and I just couldn't believe how Pumbaa looked exactly like that's how they run.
I know.
That's how they go. That's what meerkats do.
Yeah,
and they had Zazu.
Yeah.
Zazu, it was perfect.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it until I saw one in real life, and I went, "Oh my gosh!"
Yeah.
Look at that. There. Where are you going, Zazu? I was waiting for him to say something.
There's this camp
beautiful.
that we go to, the cheetah camp in the Masai Mara in Kenya. And
yes,
you go there every couple of years, and there's the guy that owns the camp. His name is Jorge, and he's this bigger than life Spanish. He's from Spain, and man, I want to get him on camera because he's just my friend, welcome. And he's just awesome. He's fantastic.
Like Falstaff, huh?
What's that?
Like a Falstaff kind of guy.
Oh yeah, he's just great. And so that's a whole other episode I want to do. Just
yeah.
Fantastic.
That's wonderful.
And you mentioned your website earlier. What's your website that people can find you at?
So my website is creatureartteacher.com. Creature Art Teacher. And then any of my social media is Aaron Blaise Art. So it's just hashtag Aaron Blaise Art or at Aaron Blaise Art. Yeah.
Fantastic.
And I also want to say for anybody watching or listening, you did a great interview with the Corridor Crew, which is one of my favorite YouTube channels. And I think those guys are just so talented. I love their content. Yeah, they're such a talented bunch. And you had a great interview, and it's really cool, to watch you in real time, looking at drawings of yours and critiquing them and everything like that. So anybody who wants to check that out, that's another great episode over on the Corridor Crew's YouTube channel.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that was great. And you'll notice I've lost about 80 pounds since that interview too, literally.
Wow.
I'm on my way to dropping 100 pounds, but I've dropped 80 so far.
Really?
Congratulations.
I didn't know that. Congrats.
I let myself go there during that period. So I gained 100 pounds. Yeah. So
well, somebody's got to take care of the pizza market out there, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
take the sandwich out of your mouth.
Yeah. My goodness, Aaron, this has been so wonderful.
This has been amazing. I've been looking forward to this ever since since I've been watching your podcast, since you asked me to be on, and so I just want to thank you so much for thinking of me, including me, and
Oh,
making this happen.
thank you. Thank you. Well, you're highly noticeable.
It's called
Like
being a
highly.
squeaky wheel. I'm a very squeaky wheel.
Oh, I don't know about that. You're a very talented one, that's for sure.
Well, saying that
That
goes
is
both ways. So
fantastic.
thank you so much, and I, man, I hope we get to work together. I hope we get to do something.
Amen. Yeah. Well, write something and I'll say it.
There you go.
Animate something and I'll do whatever it is I could do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we might take you up on it. We got some ideas that I think you would fit into as far as courses for our site, or maybe doing some, whatever. We'll figure something.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Don't.
Well, Christopher's there too.
I'll push it open.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Chris is on the animation path too. Now he's
I have
something come
my
out with
first
Billy Zane
ever
and-
voiceover role in an anime series. The premieres next month. I'm really excited about
Nice.
that.
Congratulations. I can't wait.
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah, it's called Hollow Healer. It's kind of a mythical tale about a warrior who loses his family and kind of channels all that energy in a negative way with all these godlike powers, and it's very intense and very emotional. It was a fun project, and there's gonna be more iterations in the series, so look out for that. Hollow Healer. It's
That's
coming
great,
out soon.
man. Wow.
Yeah.
Great plug. Awesome.
Yeah,
So stay tuned.
very exciting stuff coming down the pipe.
Yes.
That's great.
All right.
All
Do
right,
you want to wrap it up, Christopher? Are we there?
Yes,
I
indeed.
feel like
yes,
we're there.
indeed. Well, without
Yeah,
further
let's do
ado,
it.
thank you guys all for watching. We really appreciate you. And if you like this content, be sure to like and subscribe. It helps us. It helps you find this channel again. And if you like it so much that you want to see more, good news, we're on Patreon. Tuned In with Jim Cummings is on Patreon. We have bonus interviews, bonus content that you will not find anywhere else, so be sure to check that out. And this year, we're also doing a live tour with Fan Expo. We got some dates coming up. We just recorded an episode in Orlando with John Rhys Davies. Very, very talented and hilarious.
Unbelievable.
The next show we have coming up is in Calgary at the Calgary Expo from April 23rd to the 26th, followed by Philadelphia, May 29th to 31st, Chicago, August 14th to 16th, Toronto, August 27th to the 30th, Dallas, September 11th to 13th, and San Francisco, November 27th to 29th. Once again, we're doing this podcast live in front of a live audience. It really creates a different energy. And of course, we record all those and post them the week after on YouTube, but the live recording really... you get to see some things that may or may not be edited out, and you get to feel the energy of the crowd. You
never know.
It's a good time. So if you're in any of those cities or nearby, come check it out. Once again, I am producer Chris, the legend himself, Mr. Jim Cummings, and Aaron Blaise. Thank you so much again for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much.
Godspeed. Thank you.
And we will see you all in the next one.
Bada boom.